Hello, everybody, and thank you for returning for another episode of Fresh Off the Reel. This is Lib speaking to you. Before we start, I just want to give a quick disclaimer that we're talking about Silence of the Lambs today, and that means that we're going to be talking about cannibalism and other things like that. There's a lot of talk about lady bits and things like that because that's just how the movie is. So if you're squeamish to that kind of stuff, then you're probably not going to want to watch this. Also, really sorry for the very late upload. That's my fault. Also, we don't really talk a lot about our thoughts on the movie. We kind of just go through the entire plot for no reason in this episode, and there wasn't really a way to cut it down. So that's why this episode's a bit long, and also why it's going to feel a bit different from the other episodes. But trust me, this is hopefully the last time that happens. We're going to be talking more about our thoughts on the movie and not just about what's in the movie, if that makes any sense. You'll see what I mean as the episode goes on, but anyways, hope you enjoy, and happy Spooktober. Hello, and welcome to the 5th episode of Fresh Off the Reel. My name is Lib.
And I'm Pat.
And right off the bat, if I sound weird, I bit my lip like a couple days ago, and I bit my tongue, and now it's in the stage where it's super swollen, so I might sound a bit weird. I might be lisping a bit more than I usually do. But welcome back to Fresh Off the Reel, the show where we talk cinema.
We will talk cinema today.
Yeah, and Pat, what did we watch this week?
Today we watched a very happy, family-friendly, foodie-appropriate movie because people like food, and people like to watch movies about food, and this is the movie for you.
Yeah.
We watched a small little indie flick starring Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins called The Silence of the Lambs.
Now, if cannibalism's your thing, you're gonna love this.
And if it is your thing, please seek help.
Please stop listening and go get therapy. But yeah, we watched The Silence of the Lambs, a 1991 film directed by Jonathan Demme. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's really good.
We're in the spirit of Spooky Month right now, and last episode we kicked off Spooky Month with Shaun of the Dead, and now we're kicking it up a notch with The Silence of the Lambs, which is probably the most disturbing movie I've ever seen. Let's kick it off. So, Pat, what did you rate it?
I rated this movie a 4.5 on 5. I quite enjoyed this one. As someone who's not a
Cannibal,
spooky, who's not a cannibal, but also not really into spooky movies, I really enjoyed this one. Although my relationship with this franchise is a little bit weird, where I came into it from watching the TV series Hannibal, and then I watched this later for the first time, and I like it. It's really good. I think Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster, and Ted Levine, respectively, are all fantastic in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is the perfect blend of creepy but also like it has that crime drama element to it. It's really good. It's a good movie about acceptance. It's a good time.
I've never actually heard of the Hannibal TV show. I knew there was a Hannibal movie, but not a TV show. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I don't know why I didn't push for that 4.5, but it's a 4 out of 5, and we're gonna get into why I think that when we get into the review. But I think it is worth noting that this movie is on Letterboxd top 100 films of all time. It's number 62. So if that doesn't tell you how good this movie is,
I think it deserves its spot. I think it deserves its cult following it has. It's a fantastic time. If you like spooky Halloween movies, or if you just want a movie to sit back and just take in, I think this one's great.
Yeah, and even if you don't like horror, it's really not as scary as you might think it will be when you watch it for the first time. It is really disturbing. The horror is more psychological, and nothing really jumps out at you in this movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not a jump scary horror movie. It is
no.
more of a psychological thriller. It is very creepy. But I wouldn't say this. Like, I think if you're someone who doesn't like getting scared, and that's why you can't get into horror, which is why I can't get into horror. I don't like getting scared. I think this is a great like foot in the door to these kinds of movies. I think this does a really good job at
Yeah, it's
like
really really good.
yes. So you wanna get into it?
Yeah, let's just get into it. So we're gonna do like what we normally do, which is give you guys the plot synopsis, and as we go along the plot, we're gonna talk about what we like and what we didn't like.
Yep. This time I am pulling from Wikipedia because for no particular reason, it's just the first one that came up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anyway, Jodie Foster stars as Clarice Starling, a top student at FBI training academy. Jack Crawford wants Clarice to interview Dr. Hannibal Lecter, a brilliant psychiatrist who is also a violent psychopath, serving life behind bars for various acts of murder and cannibalism. Crawford believes that Lecter may have insight into a case and that Starling, as an attractive young woman, may be just the bait to draw him out.
That's the exact same plot synopsis that's on Letterboxd.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
so
have the page
the
open.
so like the like easy like if I have to give one like small paragraph about what the movie's about, basically Clarice Starling and Jack Crawford are trying to track down this serial killer who preys on young women named Buffalo Bill.
Mm-hmm.
They think that Hannibal Lecter might be able to help them get info on this man and just how to find him. And yeah, and then Hannibal Lecter and Clarice kind of have this cat and mouse game throughout the entire movie, where Clarice needs his help and Hannibal kind of needs her help to escape, and they have a really good back and forth.
When I watched this movie for the first time, I for some reason thought there was gonna be some kind of Harley Quinn situation where like where like Clarice is gonna fall in love with Hannibal Lecter for some reason. That I
You
mean this
haven't you haven't seen Red Dragon and Hannibal, correct?
no.
Okay.
Is that what happens?
No, no, but like what you thought was gonna happen is intentional.
Oh, okay.
Like it is building on not them having a romantic relationship, but it is building on their relationship as like people.
Yeah, and
And,
also
like they're both kind of like taking advantage of each other to get what they want, but they also are kind of forming a bond.
yeah.
It comes up more with another character that is in Red Dragon. It's not Clarice. It's a different character and is very prominent in the Hannibal TV show. But
Okay.
yeah, like it is intentional. That is the kind of character Hannibal Lecter is. Kind of preys on humans by building connections with them and taking advantage of them.
And then praise on them literally.
Yes, by making them into a fine steak dinner.
What was I about to say? There's also I don't know if it's out yet, but there's gonna be a TV show about Clarice.
Yes, yes, there is.
Yeah,
It's supposed to like be, and it's another like separate entity. It's not connected to, or at least not directly connected to Hannibal, the TV show.
I know Hannibal's not in it in the Clarice
Yeah,
show.
yeah, or these movies. It's like another, not a spin-off because it's I'm sure it will be canon in some way, like Hannibal is. No, but an own separate story about Clarice. Also, just before we
Which one came
continue, I
first? Which
uh,
one came out first?
Sansa the Lambs came first,
Okay.
then Hannibal, and then Red Dragon. I think these are based on books. Don't quote me.
I yeah the Silence of the Lambs is, but I don't know about the other ones.
Yeah, so there's those three, and then like Hannibal is much later, obviously.
So you were saying something before?
Oh yeah, just like fair warning, I might call Clarice Claire. Like I do this all the time. I'm just putting it out there. I might accidentally call her Claire. If I mention Claire, I'm
What?
talking about Clarice. I
What?
don't know why. I just when I was watching this movie and I was rewatching the movie, and when I read the name, my mind immediately goes to Claire Redfield from Resident Evil, and I don't know why, and it happens all the time. When I talk about this character, I will call her Claire. It is not intentional. I'm sorry. It's gonna happen probably.
Okay. All right.
I'm not making up a character. I am talking about Clarice. I'm very sorry.
Okay, so let's get on to the movie. So at the beginning, we open with there's this shot of Clarice. She's training to be in the FBI. And right away there's this gap between her and the other trainees because they're all male and she's like a really short girl and she's like going up against these big dudes, you know. So right away she's already trying to prove her worth to the what's his name? The her instructor,
Jack Crawford.
Jack Crawford. She's already trying to prove her worth. Um and this has been happening for a while that there was a murderer named Buffalo Bill, and his victims would be found like with missing skin, missing limbs, like completely.
Yeah, something to say about Buffalo Bill. I like just to put it out there. His whole shtick is he wants to become a woman. He finds the idea of femininity and being a woman just like so fascinating to the point that he wants to become one, and that's why he preys specifically on young, like a very specific kind of woman, like a young, white, thin, like
Well
typically
kept.
attractive woman, well kept woman, and
Yeah.
it's a pretty cool contrast with Clarice. See, it happened.
It happened. It
It
happened.
happened with Clarice, who kind of like her arc throughout the movie is like her trying to overcome a like her position in like a male-driven work environment. She wants to be taken seriously, but as a woman, she finds it a little more than difficult. Like she kind of wants to become, well, she wants to be taken seriously by the boys, and she also wants to become more masculine in terms of her um, power or her dynamic with them. Whereas Buffalo Bill wants to be more of a woman, and this comes up later in this really cool way, and I can't wait to talk about it. Like,
Oh yeah, that scene where he's dancing.
no, no, like towards the end of the movie, like right
Oh,
at the end. Mm.
right. So, what's his Jack Crawford? I keep forgetting his name. Jack Crawford calls Clarice to his office and offers her a job. She's still a trainee, but she gives him he gives her this job as like a training exercise to go to an asylum where they're keeping a madman named Hannibal Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins. And let's just get this out of the way because Anthony Hopkins was the perfect casting for this.
He's fantastic. He's great as Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
He handles that like creepiness aspect of things so well.
The voice he uses is it's so unsettling, but it's like familiar. I don't know how
Yeah,
to put it.
he sounds like someone you would trust.
Yeah.
He acts like someone you can trust, and it's all part of the act because you shouldn't trust him.
Yeah.
He'll eat you.
He
Because he'll
will
eat
eat
you.
you.
Yeah,
Um
he's great because he's a psychiatrist. He kind of learns how to work with and on people, and they use that aspect of his character really great with his interactions with Claire and with Clarice. Oh my god, Clarice and with Jack Crawford and with Buffalo Bill, and it's really good.
So she takes the job because again she wants to prove herself and also
Something to note. Sorry, She's also offered the job because she is the exact kind of target Buffalo Bill is looking for.
oh
So
yeah.
she's competent at her job, and this is a chance for her to prove herself. But she also only gets the job because of the thing she is not happy about,
Yeah.
and it causes conflict with Crawford, and Hannibal brings it up, and it's just really really good.
So she goes to the asylum and this is one of my favorite scenes where the doctor, what's his name, Dr. Frederick is like taking her through the asylum down like because it's all the way in the basement like on the deepest underground. So they're going down these big staircases going through these checkpoints and it looks like airlocks and a bunch of other shit. it's just a really cool scene, and throughout the way, Frederick is just hitting on Clarice the whole time. She's really just not having it, obviously, and
It's a thing throughout the entire movie.
yeah,
Like when we're first introduced to Clarice, she's like running and she's like working out, and like as she's running, you'll have like men making eye contact with her because like she's attractive, whatever. And it's a constant like reminder for her that like she's only valued because she's attractive as a woman, and her whole arc is her trying to break free from that to make something of herself because of her own merits and not because she's a woman.
right. This movie touches a lot about sexism and things like that, and discrimination towards women.
It's it's a weirdly like good movie for representation and being and like accepting yourself for who you are and those kind of topics. It's weird because it's again it's not a Lecter. It's a movie about a serial killer and a cannibal, but it really is a good like empowering movie in that regard.
It really is. So now we get to the big scene where Clarice and Hannibal meet for the first time, and right away, like Hannibal's just this big imposing force. He's just standing there, just staring at her like a brick wall. He's using the creepiest voice, and the music in the background starts kicking up with the creepy like the bass going. Brrr. it's it's all setting up to this great conversation that they have, and the conversations in this movie are really really good. Like the dialogue sounds really natural for a crazy cannibal.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about Hannibal Lecter, where he is a psychopath. He is this crazy cannibal. He is a mass murderer, but he's still like very genuine. He's very calm. He's cool. He's collected, and he's just so like just creepy. He's able to get inside your head. He's able to make you trust him, and I think that's a super important part to his character.
Yeah, so well, I've been talking a lot now, so Pat, why don't you continue with the plot here?
I want to continue with the plot, but I actually just want to gush about something else. I like this movie a lot. It
Well,
has to do with that starting conversation when she first meets Hannibal, but it's also something that like comes up before and will continue to come up after. But like the eye contact is a huge thing in this movie. Characters are whenever there's a conversation, the characters are either looking directly into the camera and the camera's facing towards them, or the two characters are looking directly at each other. And it's great because for different characters it means different things, right? Like
mhm.
Hannibal does it because he wants to get into your head, and he wants you to trust him, and he wants to analyze you, right? Then you have characters like Claire, who like earlier in the movie, men are staring at him, staring at her. Buffalo Bill is staring at her because he wants to kill her. Jack Crawford will stare directly at her for different reasons too. He's kind of you had the doctor you were mentioning, Frederick, who is staring directly at her because he's hitting on her,
Yeah.
and it's just a really really cool attention to detail. And especially when you look at stuff like the poster, where like the the thing that pops out from you at the poster is the butterfly and the eyes that are the same color. And it's really cool.
Yeah, the poster is really creepy. I don't like
It is.
looking at it.
I love looking at it because it's creepy. I'd put that on my wall.
Jesus Christ, you're gonna sleep with that on your wall.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins is protecting me.
Oh my, what the Hannibal poster?
Yeah, I wouldn't put the Hannibal poster. It would have to be Silence of the Lambs. But what does Red Dragon's poster? Hold on, let me look at Red Dragon's poster. And this is
It's
like
like a guy with a
very,
tattoo, and then there's Hannibal in the middle.
yeah, I wouldn't put those, but I would put uh Silence of the Lambs on my wall.
Yeah, and the butterfly in the mouth. That comes up later in the movie. Also the
Yep.
title, the reason why it's called Silence of the Lambs is coming up later too. It is a weird like it's a cool title. Does it fit the movie? Yeah. But it's really important to Claire's character. I oh crap! You made me do it.
Got him. We did it.
I said Claire.
Claire Redfield.
God damn it.
I don't know why, and it's not like I picture Jodie Foster when I think about Claire Redfield either. It's just really weird.
Okay, whatever. Now I'm gonna say Claire. Clarice. It's really important to Clarice's character. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
It's explained in one of many great conversations she has with Hannibal. But in this
Yeah.
first conversation, what he's really trying to do is get into Clarice's head and try to know her. Like he asks her personal questions, like where she was born and where she was raised, name of her parents, um, why she's there, and other things.
And like these are often things that a psychiatrist would talk to about with a patient upon first meeting them. And that's like all you really need to know about Hannibal as a person, just with that piece of information. Where like being a psychiatrist was more than just a job,
Yeah.
and it became a way for him to dissect his prey in more ways than one.
You think he ever took a biology class?
Oh, I'm sure he took a biology class. Man's too good with a knife to know.
No, I
He
actually
knew exactly where to bite without killing someone.
I don't remember a lot about the first conversation, to be honest. I don't remember. Oh, like, do you? I'm sure you remember more than I do. So
The first one really is just a let's get to know each other. Who are you? Why are you here? What can you offer me? Kind of conversation, right?
yeah,
Because like they both want something the other can maybe give them. So it's both of them kind of gauging how far the other is willing to go. And it's also needs to be said that Clarice does not want to be there in that moment.
yeah. She like the body language is really good in this movie. That's another thing, and she looks physically uncomfortable in every scene
Yeah.
that she's talking to Hannibal.
It takes I don't want to say it takes a while for her to warm up to him because ideally you wouldn't warm up to him. But like on their first meeting, the position of power is very clearly in Hannibal's favor. You
Yeah,
know, she also just like she walks into the prison. She has to deal with the doctor like basically hitting on her.
and
She
then
has
the
to deal
other
with the
prisoners,
yeah, the other prisoners are either catcalling her or throwing shit at her. So it's all and they're doing this because she's a woman. So all that is like built up in a way to basically hand over the position of power to Hannibal, even though she should have been the one to have it automatically, right? Because she's there to ask him questions, and it handles that very well. But yeah, that's basically the whole conversation. It's them kind of getting a feel for each other.
so after that first conversation, I actually don't remember what happens. So Pat, you take over.
We just start getting into the case where we learn more about Buffalo Bill. I think we see his first kill. I don't 100% remember if we see it then or if it's a bit later.
I mean, we could still talk about it. It's really important.
Yeah, I mean we don't really have to go through things one at a time, right? We can just like
Yeah,
hop around.
yeah,
So
we'll hop around.
yeah,
I wanted to
no,
follow the plot, but then I realized I kind of forgot it.
nice, fantastic.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
I watched this movie at like 2 in the morning on a Sunday.
Nice, good job. You picked a good movie to watch late at night.
Oh, I didn't sleep that night.
Oh yeah, good. Well, Hannibal Lecter was outside your window, so I wouldn't be
Don't fucking
sleeping
say
either.
that.
He's watching you, dude. Anthony Hopkins. There's nothing else to do these days.
Hello, Clarice. Oh,
Hello, Lib.
no.
If I ever get the chance to meet Anthony Hopkins, that's what I'm gonna give him money to do.
Hello, Anthony Hopkins.
I'm gonna make him like I'm just gonna pay him to like say hello with all my friends' names in the Hannibal Lecter voice and just send it to them at like 2 a.m.
I can't
With
believe the same person who played Hannibal Lecter is Odin in
yeah,
4.
it's it's weird for me because the last movie I saw Anthony Hopkins in was The Father. So to go from The Father to this again, like revisiting this, it's so weird because they're two like complete opposite characters. The father is like this old sad man with like losing his memory and he's going crazy because he's old. He's old and soft and his body is failing. And then you have this one where he's Hannibal fucking Lecter. He's gonna eat people.
uh, okay, we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah. Yeah, like the rest of the movie up to this point is like this probably at least for
Exposition.
a while is this like not exposition, but it's a back and forth in this game of like cat and mouse between Hannibal Lecter and Claire and Buffalo Bill, where like Hannibal needs Clarice to escape. So like he'll be spending the movie like trying to make her accept him or like to get her on his side to have him transferred basically, and when he's transferred out of that like that mental hospital, he'll have his chance to escape. Clarice is trying to get information out of him in order to find Buffalo Bill, who he and Hannibal have some connection to, or at least the police at the time assume that they have some kind of connection. And you have Buffalo Bill, who like, well, obviously he's trying to not get caught. That's a big one.
Yeah, well.
But he also, because he's aware that Clarice is the police that's after him, the police officer that's after him, he wants her for her lady bits.
Yep.
And the movie is built on that. It's a game of cat and mouse that leads to many a moment, leads to many fantastically written conversation pieces, and leads to one of my favorite endings to any movie ever.
So
Or climax, I should say. Not just the ending, but the climax is great.
yeah. The I think it's in the second conversation that she has with Hannibal. We're still in the asylum. He hasn't been transferred yet. This is when she offers him the deal of the transfer. Because in the first conversation, she finds out that he has something, he knows something about Buffalo Bill that'll help in the investigation. But the there's no way that she's gonna get it out of him without some kind of like incentive.
Yeah.
So they come up with this fake deal where if he helps in the investigation and they catch Buffalo Bill with his information, they'll like put him on like they'll put him in like a different prison that has a window, and like I think what was it, once a year he could go to this island with a beach on it. Cuz that's what he wants. He said all he wants is to like see nature again. He doesn't take the deal right away, I don't think, right?
No, he doesn't, because upon like when the deal is first made, he assumes that it's not like legit.
And he was
Like
right.
he's right, and because he's always one step ahead throughout the entire movie. But eventually, upon the second conversation, he takes it. I think it's just one to play along, and two because that was his out.
Yeah, he knew
It
that
was a
that was his
perfect
way
way
to
for him
escape.
to escape. Yeah.
So he gets transferred. But before he gets transferred, he has to like talk with the mayor, right?
No,
Because
no, Jack does, not him.
oh, Jack does. Jack talks to the but he's there. He's like in the
Yeah, yeah, Hannibal's there, but Jack had to, because like the mayor didn't want this to go down. Like they didn't even want to humor the idea.
but the reason why she did was because her daughter was abducted by Buffalo Bill,
Yeah,
and she obviously wants to get her back. So she's doing anything she can, and her last resort is
trust
uh,
Hannibal
to
Lecter,
trust Hannibal Lecter.
which is what he wanted. He wanted the trust so he can escape.
So she starts seeing like, oh, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. We're not gonna get anything out of him. Get him out of my sight. And then
She was half right.
she was half right. But Hannibal gives her a name or an address. It was.
I wasn't no. It's a name because Claire gets the Clarice gets the address, not him.
Yeah, so he gives a name. He gives the name. He gives a fake name. I don't remember what name he gives, but the name was an anagram for something else that comes up later. So at the same time this is happening, Clarice is going to the address that Hannibal gave her in the second conversation. It's this like storage facility, and she gets help from the guy running the storage facility. She opens the door, and it's Hannibal's storage area. And there's a bunch of creepy shit going on in there. This is one of the creepiest scenes, I think.
Yeah,
When she,
and anytime we get a little peek at Hannibal's I want to say personal life, but it's a little more complicated than that. Anytime we get like a little look at what Hannibal does on the outside, it's really really creepy.
So she's walking around. She finds a Rolls Royce just in the back, and you could tell it's a Rolls Royce because it has the angel on the front.
Maybe they sponsored the movie.
Maybe. She takes a tarp off the car and she goes in the car, and there's a head. There is a head in the car, and then there's a jar of something I forgot.
Two things that are tasty, apparently,
Yeah.
according to Anthony Hopkins.
So she takes this information back to Hannibal. You can continue from here.
Yeah, so she takes things back to Hannibal, and this was kind of Hannibal's just way of finding out that his stuff was still there. Like it's all part of his plan to escape, right? So she comes back. Obviously, she's not too happy about it. So like she's able to like kind of drip feed more information out of Hannibal Lecter. That's how their whole dynamic is they're both trying to drip feed information out of each other. But Hannibal kind of has the lead, and like he's ahead, not lead. He's a step ahead, and that's when a deal is actually made with the combination of the mayor's daughter getting kidnapped. So they are going to move Hannibal Lecter into a different prison that's more to his style,
Yeah.
and that's when he escapes. Who would have thought? They
Well,
they had him in like this glass container. They were moving him. Everything was fine, and then one cop decided to get a little too close and got his nose chopped off and died, or chomped off, not chopped,
chomped off. Yeah, he got his
chomped
nose
off.
chomped off.
Anthony Hopkins takes a big old bite, kills kills the other cop, and leaves.
Yeah, but not before he makes this terrifying monument of the cop's corpse.
And
Where
that's this last time we see him for a while.
that is actually for pretty much the entire third act, Hannibal's just not there. So we really just focus on Clarice and Buffalo Bill because now with the anagram from before and all the information she's gotten, she finds out Buffalo Bill's real name, James Gum. So she's hot on the pursuit of Buffalo Bill. We haven't really talked about what he was doing behind the scenes during
Yeah,
this
what
movie.
he's doing is like while because I find the back and forth with Hannibal more interesting. But what he's doing is yeah, obviously it's important to the story. But he's basically trying to turn himself into his ideal perfect woman.
By making skin suits.
Yeah, so he'll make skin suits and he'll take different parts of the women he's kidnapped and he'll create the I don't want to say the ultimate suit because it doesn't but he's trying to turn
He creates his Spidey suit. There's your
yeah
Spider-Man reference for
yeah
today.
there it is. Yeah, he's trying to create that his ideal woman by like sewing together different pieces of skin and like different breasts and different parts of a woman's body,
Which is terrifying.
which is terrifying. And while he's doing this, he has the mayor's daughter in a pit, like in his basement, basically watching and listening to this happening.
Mm-hmm.
And like the mayor's daughter specifically, like he didn't want to just kill her because like she was perfect, like his ideal beautiful woman. So he had to keep not keep her alive, but keep her body in like pristine quote unquote condition.
Mm-hmm.
So like you couldn't like overstress her out. You couldn't be too warm. You couldn't be too cold. She had to be like fed. But like obviously like they both know that the final goal is that she has to die. So like that's like there's that level of horror where like she has to watch all these other women, listen to all these other women being killed and skinned, and she knows she's next. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's pretty disturbing.
yeah. Listen, I do not envy this person. I'm okay with never being in a situation like that.
I mean the scary part really is that like there are people that are like this in real life.
Yep,
That's the
and
scary part.
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Clarice will end up tracking down Buffalo Bill's address, or like where he's currently heading out. She'll be able to get into the house, but Buffalo Bill is made aware of her presence. And then there's this really cool thing. very cool. Where like that's why this climax is one of my favorites in like any movie ever. It's like when the lights go out in the house
Yeah,
and like they're both like sitting in the dark, and like you know that if Clarice was a man, uh, Buffalo Bill would have just charged at her and killed her immediately. But because she was a woman, he like hesitated. He kind of slowed down around her. He went to touch her hair, and because of that, she was able to hear the gun, stop him, and arrest him.
yeah,
So like her
like
her whole arc like is like in the end of the movie she's saved because she's a woman, and she kind of learns to accept that she can be this badass super cop and also be a woman. They don't.
yeah,
Those two things don't have to be separate, and that's kind of the realization she has towards the end. It's really cool.
yeah, and when she goes to Buffalo Bill's house to confront him, she doesn't know that that's Buffalo Bill right away. She has her suspicions, but she doesn't know that because she thinks that the FBI knows where he is because at the same time that she's at this address, the FBI got tipped off to a different address and they're convinced that that's Buffalo Bill's house. So they go and they raid the house, they bust through the doors and the house is completely empty. There's nothing there. They have the wrong address. And
But
then they
Clarice
realize,
doesn't
"Oh
know that
shit."
in the moment.
They realize,
Yeah.
oh shit, Clarice is at Buffalo Bill's house right now. But Clarice doesn't know that yet. It's only until she walks into the house and finds a butterfly in the house. So we didn't end up talking about the butterflies, so we'll go to that now. In one of the dead bodies that they find, there's a cocoon. And they open up the cocoon and there's a butterfly. It's a specific type of butterfly. There's this scene with these two bug specialists that are really funny. Every movie needs to have a bit of humor, and this is that in this
Yeah,
movie.
you have to lighten the mood a little bit because otherwise it's just nonstop drama, you know?
So they go to these two entomologists, and they open up the cocoon, and they find out it's like a specific breed or whatever of butterfly, the one that's in the poster. That's in all of Buffalo Bill's victims. They all have that in the throat. That's his calling card. So when Clarice walks into his house and she finds like a painting of a butterfly, she's like, okay. She finds like
This is a problem.
this is bad. And then she looks around and everything's torn apart. And then she finds that breed of butterflies just flying around. That's when she realizes, oh shit, this is Buffalo Bill. This is
That's a problem.
this is the guy I'm looking for. She gets ready to shoot him, and then he runs away to the basement. And that's when she goes down, does a sweep, finds the mayor's daughter, but then the lights go out. And Pat, since you love this scene so much, you can talk about
Yeah,
it.
that's where we have this great moment where like they're both trying to capture each other, but because it's dark and they both can't see, it's like it's difficult. And like in this scene, Clarice, I remember Clarice is armed, but Buffalo Bill has a gun.
She is armed.
I, yeah, okay, right, yeah, you're right, you're right. And then Buffalo Bill has is also armed.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and like I was saying earlier, like I think in any other situation, like if it was a man, Buffalo Bill probably would have just charged for him or just taken the shot immediately. But because because like they were like basically face to face, like they were not, like, they were in a position where he could have killed her. But because of his fascination with women, and because he was just so like interested in Claire, he like he stops, he goes to touch her hair, he goes to smell her, and that's what ultimately leads to his downfall when Claire's able to catch him and they go save the girl.
Yeah. So they save the mayor's daughter. They catch Buffalo. Well, Buffalo's dead. But what happened to Hannibal Lecter at the end? Well, it
Well,
turns
he
out
he got away.
he got away, and it's actually really cool the way he got away. So he posed as one of the dead police officers in the cell where he was where all the other dead police officers were when he killed them and ate one of them. Took a chomp out of one of them.
Yep. And then he just stays amongst the corpses until he has his opening and he runs.
Yeah, so they're in the ambulance. He takes off his like skin mask that he made, kills everyone in the ambulance, and takes off. And then at the end, what is it like? It's 3 months later. Clarice becomes like a full agent of the FBI. Everything's looking out great for her. And then she gets a call. Who can it be? I wonder.
It's Hannibal Lecter. It's Anthony Hopkins out of character. It's just him.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and it's him at the beach, and he's like, "Haha, you better not come hunt me." But by
Yeah,
the way, I gotta go. I'm having a friend for dinner, and
it's
yeah,
Dr. Frederick. Yeah.
yep,
That's a great line of having a friend for dinner. I love that.
yeah, it's great. It's good. I love this movie. It's really good like that.
So that's the whole plot. It's so this movie's great. Like we really didn't do it justice because there's so much stuff we left out, but you really have to watch it. Even if you don't like horror, it's great. It's probably my favorite. I like what I don't know if I would consider it horror. I think it's more of like a thriller. Uh
It is more of a psychological thriller, at least personally. But
mm,
it does have those horror elements. It's a very creepy movie. It's very hard to watch sometimes.
yeah, especially the scenes with Buffalo Bill.
It is scary, but it's not like a jump scary in your face kind of scary. It's more of a calm, slow burn, and the scariness comes from how you're just constantly on edge and you're always uncomfortable.
Yeah, and another thing that makes it so scary is that there's no like supernatural element. There's no monster. It's not anything like that. There's no ghost. There's no
Yeah,
it's real people.
yeah. The monster will you get into the monster's head, and the monster gets into the characters' heads. It's all natural. It's all real. It's terrifying in a real way.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's pulled off really
I-
well.
it's one of those movies where like I would recommend it to people who don't like horror or don't like to get scared, but want to like kind of get their feet wet. I'd recommend this movie. Because that's how it was for me. I started with the Hannibal series, and that also obviously helped me ease into this because the series does play with similar levels of like that creepiness.
Hmm.
But this is really good, and you'll get to see more of Hannibal and like they're all based on books, by the way. I just checked.
Okay.
But there's a bunch of other movies. There's Hannibal, there's Red Dragon, there's Manhunter. So there's more to Hannibal Lecter's story. It doesn't end with him just getting away.
Yeah. So
Clarice
I don't know. You continue.
Clarice is back. You'll see more of her. There's other characters who, if you've seen the Hannibal TV show, you'll be familiar with because the show does adapt these stories as well.
Hmm.
Except Silence of the Lambs, it doesn't do Silence of the Lambs, but it does Red Dragon and Hannibal.
So why is it called Silence of the Lambs? We didn't talk about that. So why is it called that? It's actually a very clever title.
It
Um,
is, yeah.
so Clarice, she lived on a farm for a bit of her life, and they had goats, they had lambs, and one night she woke up. It was like early in the morning, and her uncle was slaughtering the lambs, to eat, and they were screaming, and she could still hear those screams. It traumatized her to this day, and she thinks that when she makes it to the top, and when she finally shows everyone that she can be who she wants to be, then she'll stop hearing the screams. The lambs will stop. The silence of the lambs.
And Hannibal will reference this event, and he asks the question like, "Oh, well, when will the lamb stop screaming?" And it fucks with her head. And this is really really good.
Yeah.
That's how Hannibal Lecter gets into people's head, and it's great.
Yeah, and at the end in that last phone call that they had, he was like, "Well, are the lambs quiet now?" It's a great title. I love it. It's you don't see it coming.
Is it you could also interpret the title as like well like as animals are slaughtered, but in this case the animals are humans.
Yeah,
So like
so
Silence of the Lambs, like when Buffalo Bill or when Hannibal kills somebody, all that you hear from them afterward is dead silence,
mhm.
and they treat humans like cattle. So like Silence of the Cows wouldn't sound very cool, right? So they fit lamb, Silence of the Lambs.
it's a really it's a really really clever title, and I like it. Now, I'm all like, you should know this by now that I'm a big guy for title cards. This movie does not have one. Not even like after the credits, because usually when it doesn't have one at the beginning, it's like after the credits there isn't one. And I kind of like that it doesn't have one because it keeps that mystery about why it's called Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
But it's good. It's good. It's a great title and it's a great movie. 4 out of 5, like I said before.
It, I gave it 4.5 out of 5, and it's on my top 15 favorite movies list. Um, just because of the little details. I mentioned the eye thing earlier, and
Yeah.
I think that's such an important aspect to how these characters interact. It's so good.
Normally at this point we'd start like talking about the characters individually and start like picking at them, but we kind of already did that while we were talking about the plot.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think the thing with the characters in this movie is they really need to like they're an experience to watch.
yeah, talking about them won't do them justice because they grow in this movie. Like the arcs are really well done and well written and well acted. So
Like Buffalo Bill isn't just a psychopath for psychopath's sake, and
he
you really
has
get to
intentions.
understand him and how he's not happy with who he is, and he wants to find that version of himself that he can accept, like Clarice, and just the way he goes about it is wrong, right? And then you have like the opposite with Clarice, and then you have a different angle where Hannibal knows who he is, and he's accepted who he is, and he wants not for the world to accept him, but for the world to just take it.
The
This
world
is
to
who I.
know. He
This
wants
is
the
who
world
I
to
am.
know.
Yeah, he wants the world to know, and he wants like this is who I am. And you can't hold me back. It's an interesting look at like self-identifying and finding happiness within yourself and acceptance within yourself. It's a weird movie to get those kind of feelings from, but it does it very well.
It's where you least expected it, but that's why it's so good.
Yeah, like you're not supposed to sympathize with Buffalo Bill or Hannibal Lecter, and you don't. I'm not saying the movie makes
No,
you
you
feel bad.
won't
You don't, but you can
unless you're a
in
cannibal.
yeah, or a serial killer. But like in some fucked up way, you can you can find your struggle here,
Mm.
and it might not teach you how to get over that hurdle, but it's definitely a dive into it.
Another small detail that I really like is this movie's use of the word fuck. Because it's not dropped a lot. It's only dropped in like really serious scenes where like it has a lot of meaning. Like it's
It's not cursing for the sake of
yeah,
cursing. Like not
it's not
too much.
cursing because they're like, "Are you fucking crazy?" It's not like that, you know. It really adds to the scene. It's like when they drop the bomb in BoJack Horseman. They only do it like a handful of times, and each time it means something else, and it holds a lot of weight. It
Yeah,
really changes up the scene.
I feel like in a lot of movies that have like gratuitous swearing, like the cursing kind of like grates on you. But like in this one, it's like sewn so naturally into the conversation that I didn't notice that he was like, oh, that's a like, oh, he said fuck, oh god, like like it's like yeah, okay, like he was just talking, and
Yeah.
it all felt natural.
It's the little details is really what makes this movie great, and I'm sure with more watches, this is only the second time I've seen it, but I'm sure with more viewings, I'm gonna find more of those little details.
Yeah, the movie is full of small little details, and the movie is built on its little details. So like it's a really well put together movie.
Yeah.
It definitely deserves the cult following he has. It has, and it's really good. I
Yeah.
really enjoy it.
Well, I don't really have anything else to say, Pat. Is there anything you want to add?
I can't think of anything right now. I went over a lot of the stuff that was in my notes. I just really wanted to gush about the climax because I think
It's really
it's
good.
so
It is
well
really good.
so well put together.
Not as
And
good as the
I
ending of La La
just
Land.
oh, that's pretty good. I'd like just to say like another thing to like stick it to the workforce stereotypes. Like a lot of the men in this movie, at least like the male figures in the good characters, don't really do much.
You mean the morally good characters?
Yeah, the morally good
Yeah.
characters, because like Jack Crawford has his own like the guys you're supposed to root for.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really do much to push the story forward, and all like the bad guys who like push Claire forward in her development are all kind of pointing her in the direction where like she needs like that to like accept herself for who she is and to be her own like to be herself. And I think it's interesting to have like, oh, I want to be a dude, but all the dudes in this movie are either villains or don't help her at all and are just hindering her. They're holding her back literally, like in the story sense, but also they're not helping with the investigation. I think it's just super interesting to look at it that way.
Yeah.
It's just a really brilliant movie.
Yeah,
It's
and
it's it's a weird feminist movie, and that's scary. It's scary to think about, but it's so good. It's so good for that.
well, with that being said, uh
That's not the note I wanted to end on, but I think it's a good one. Silence of the Lamb is a hashtag feminist movie.
Silence of the Lambs is the best feminist movie since Little Women.
It is
um
a better feminist movie than Promising Young Woman.
um well, now I guess it's time to move on to Hot Off the Presses, the segment where we talk about Hollywood news, things that are happening, and new releases. And speaking of new releases, we got a couple here that we're gonna talk about. First things first, straight out of our own hearts. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm pissed that I haven't seen it yet. No Time to Die came out.
Yep. At the time of recording, No Time to Die came out 3 days ago.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, it was
We're
on
both
Friday.
we're both pretty big Bond fans. Lib has not seen it yet.
I'm
I saw
pissed.
it. I saw it, and it was really good. I think it's a great send off to Daniel Craig's Bond. I think it's a good movie, unlike Spectre and Quantum of Solace. I think it's a good Bond movie. I think it's a good movie in general. I had a blast watching it. It is a little on the long side. It clocks in at like just over 2 hours and 40 minutes. So it's long. It's long for a Bond movie, but I never felt the clock dragging. Like it was just a really good time.
Right. I'm still on my marathon watching all the Bond movies. As soon as I can, I'm gonna watch No Time to Die because oh my god, I can't
It's
wait to
it's
watch it.
if you're a Bond fan, this is gonna do some good. I think.
Mm,
I think you'll be pleased by it if you're a Bond fan.
for sure.
I don't
Uh,
remember. I don't know if this is the notes. I don't have them open right now.
Open them.
Um, yeah, I don't remember if we talked about it last time or not. But Venom 2 came out. I don't remember if we mentioned it last
Yeah,
time.
that is in the notes.
Okay, Venom 2 is in the notes. Okay, so I'll open them up right now so I
Yeah.
can read them.
So
Yeah, Venom 2 came out. I get another movie that I saw that Lib didn't.
yeah, this one. The reason
Um,
why I haven't seen this one is because I still haven't seen the first Venom.
yeah, and honestly, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But I'll just give my brief thoughts of Venom 2. Just because like I don't actually have that much to say, at least
Yeah.
as far as like the movie itself is concerned.
Yeah, because we need to talk
Um,
about the post credits scene.
yeah. So Venom 2 came out. It was fun. Venom 2 is a movie that I objectively like if I had to give it an objective rating, that sucks. It's too short. Ironically, it's way too short. Shit happens way too quickly. You don't really get time for things to like stew properly.
Venom 2 is
Uh,
a romantic comedy.
um, but yes. So with that said, Venom 2 is my favorite romantic comedy of the year. I think it is just a fun watch, and I think like when I was watching it, and then after I finished it, I didn't care about the dumb movie things because I just had a good time. Like there's like nitpicky things that because I'm a big Spider-Man fan, I'm a big comic book fan. There's little nitpicky things that I think if I was watching an MCU movie, it would have bothered me. Like Venom goes to a rave in this movie and just like parties, even though sound is a huge weakness for symbiotes.
Who
But I didn't
cares?
care because the scene was just so fun, and that's kind of how I feel about the whole movie. It was just really fun, and for all its faults, I was laughing out loud. I was having a good time. It was a fun movie.
All right, now for the after credits scene.
Yeah. So
So, okay,
s-
spoilers. I mean,
yes, yeah.
obviously. Um,
Let's just get
so
heavy spoilers for Venom 2. A certain guy in red and black spandex appears in the post-credit scene.
So everyone's, wondering who's the missing member of the Sinister Six that's in No Way Home.
It's not Venom. It's not Venom.
It's not Venom, but we might have a seventh.
I don't. Okay, so yeah, let's just stop being cheeky. Spider-Man was in it. Venom.
Tom
Tom
Holland
Holland.
Spider-Man specifically.
Venom is officially crossing over with the MCU. As of, we suspect No Way Home, but it might be Multiverse of Madness. It might be later. We don't actually know yet. But Venom is officially crossing over with the MCU. We are eventually going to see a Spider-Man versus Venom scene or movie. We don't really know. We don't know if he's going to be in No Way Home. I personally don't think he's going to be in No Way Home, at least in the main movie. He might be in a post-credit scene.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that maybe, no, probably not in No Way Home, but maybe Spider-Man and Venom are gonna have to team up to fight somebody else. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I know, like they said, we're still going to be getting Venom movies, and like I'm sure like they'll be separate from the MCU. Like they'll still be their own thing. As this really does feel like so like the after credit scene sets up that like Venom is here because of Doctor Strange's multiverse shenanigans in the No Way Home trailer that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't, that movie's not out yet, so we don't know how that stuff is settled, if Strange sends them all back to their home dimension or not, or maybe Venom stays behind because Venom's not involved in it for the most part, or that we at all that we know of. But yeah, we are eventually gonna get a crossover, whether it's gonna be Spider-Man fighting Venom or maybe Spider-Man and Venom teaming up to fight No or some other big Venom villain. We don't know if this means Tom Holland's gonna get a Black Suit saga. Personally, I don't think so, but who
I
knows?
don't think so.
I don't think so, but we'll see. And the point is, Venom is gonna be a thing
Yep,
in Spider
he
at
is.
some
Speaking of Venom being a thing in Spider-Man, we're not a video game podcast, but just to gloss over it super quickly, he's gonna be in Spider-Man 2, the game.
which Craven is also gonna be in,
Yeah,
and
which
Craven is getting a movie. It's he's getting a movie in the Sony, like this the Venom universe.
Yeah, and I think now it's making a lot more sense why they changed Peter's face in the PS5 remaster to look a bit more like Tom Holland, because there might be some crossover there.
I don't think so, but
I think there might be.
I think they're just like for brand recognition, they're gonna try to keep things similar.
So
So
let's
yeah, that's Venom. I don't really have much more to say because we honestly, I screamed in the theater. I was super excited, but we don't really know much.
No, that's
We
all
can
we have.
assume,
All we have is that after credit scene, and then the director saying, "Yep, they're gonna fight."
yeah, we can assume that because Venom is here, that Jared Leto, I can't remember the character's name right now,
Joker.
Morbius,
Morbius.
Morbius, and the future Craven movie might also be part of the MCU now, or maybe they will also have crossover shenanigans with Spider-Man. We did see Spider-Man on a poster in the Morbius trailer, so like who knows? But yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Staying on the topic of Marvel, apparently this isn't confirmed, but the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness trailer is reportedly coming out in December. This is just speculation, but it's also probably gonna come out after No Way Home is released. That's probably when the trailer's coming.
Yeah, I would not expect it to come out before No Way Home
Yeah,
because
we still have
this will definitely
Eternals to get through.
we have Eternals to get through, and I'm also well Eternals is before Spider-Man,
Yeah,
but
Eternals is next month actually. Oh my god.
I think just like I'm sure Multiverse of Madness is gonna pick up at least for Steven is gonna pick off wherever No Way Home ends.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely not gonna release a trailer for that before. But Marvel's also been really stingy with trailers. They didn't release the first No Way Home trailer until like 3 months before the movie was coming out. So who knows?
All right. Uh, juicy stuff now. No, it's your turn, Pat.
You see stuff. Hold up.
It's after Venom 2 in the notes.
Yeah. So Ghostbusters Afterlife reviews are in. This is a movie I'm personally interested in. I'm most likely gonna watch it. The reviews are in. Apparently, it's fine. Getting mixed reviews.
Yeah,
Super nostalgia baity, which honestly, that's kind of all I want personally. Um,
I, I
yeah,
I'm not too crazy about them just going for the nostalgia. But I see why. I mean,
I mean the moment we got the trailer with like Bill Murray answering the phone at the end, I'm like, okay, yeah, they know what this is exactly what they're doing.
uh,
It's nostalgic.
but apparently it really like depends on if you've seen the originals or not. Because if you're if you grew up with the originals, then you're probably gonna like this. If you've seen the originals but maybe you didn't grow up with them, you might be about this movie. It's really depending on your situation with the Ghostbusters series as a whole. Apparently, there's a lot of references to the Ghostbusters cartoon in this movie as well.
Yeah, I
So,
heard that as well. So I guess I'll have more to say about it next month. I think it comes out next month.
yeah, it does.
I I plan on seeing it. I'll probably talk about it at some point. Beyond that, I don't have much else to say.
Yep. Speaking of
Is it
not there not being a lot to say about something, there's so Chucky's back. Chucky
Chucky's back again?
from
Because
Child's
there was a
Play.
reboot last year.
So last year there was a reboot with Aubrey Plaza and who else?
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill. But now there's another one. It's a TV show. It's not a movie. It's a TV show. So it's like, okay, that could be fine. Scary TV series starring Chucky. That's actually not a bad idea. What is a bad idea is making it a comedy series because that's what it
I
is.
I just googled it and it says it's a horror. But
You watch the trailer.
yeah, I have seen the trailer and it does come off as more like haha funny. But I'm sure it'll be scary too.
I'm sure there's gonna be some spook, but
That's another thing that comes out tomorrow that maybe we could talk about at some
oh yeah,
point.
that
The
comes
first
out
ep-
tomorrow.
the first episode comes out tomorrow. Assuming it's easy to find, maybe.
Wait, hold on, you cut out.
Hello, test.
Okay.
I
It's
don't know
okay.
where I
It's okay.
I
I
don't know
know where
where I
you cut
cut.
off. He just said maybe we'll talk about it next week. That's what he said.
Yeah, yeah. So the episode comes out tomorrow. Maybe we'll watch it and we'll talk about it next week. We'll see. But yeah,
God, I hate recording over Discord.
isn't it great? Don't we love technical difficulties here?
Yep. So, now this is the interesting one. This is the juicy thing. So, it's October. That means we're in the fourth quarter. You know what that means? It's Oscar time, baby.
Oscars is gonna be in like 6 months. We're at the last quarter of the year, so we're counting down the months until we start having our Oscar predictions.
Yeah, so the race for the Oscars is starting. All the studios are getting out their best shit right now.
A small hint towards Oscar predictions episode in like February.
Maybe.
Oh,
Probably.
yeah,
Definitely.
probably. I usually go through my Oscar binge in January because that's when movies are kind of slow, but we'll see.
Yeah, so like we said, I don't know how many episodes ago, but January is gonna be a really slow month because movies don't come out in January. So we're probably just gonna be doing some Oscar bait on there. So
Yep. And then we'll lead into a Oscar predictions episode where we'll just kind of whenever the nominations come out, like. Do you want to do a what we think will be nominated, and then another episode when
yeah,
the
yeah, we're gonna
nominations
we're
are
gonna
out? Or
do
do you just want to
a
wait?
we're gonna do a predictions episode, and then after the nominations are out, we're gonna do an episode talking about the nominations.
Yeah, then we'll go over like what we think will win with the actual like predictions. I think No Time to Die is gonna get nominated for best song. I'm gonna put that out there now.
For best song,
Yeah,
I still haven't
well,
listened to it because I'm saving it for when I watch the movie.
that's valid. I think that's an easy one, but we'll see. I also think the movie will be nominated for best score because Hans Zimmer did it, and Hans Zimmer is a god.
Well, we don't know. I mean, last night in Soho hasn't come out yet, and I think
This is
that's.
true. I didn't say win. I said nominated for. Uh,
But there we go. That's hot off the presses. There's nothing embarrassing that's in the notes.
yeah. Oh yeah. There's one more.
No, there isn't.
You gotta read it.
No.
Far Cry 6 came out. Not a gaming podcast, by the way. Far Cry 6 is out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all we're gonna say about that.
it stole my life.
How is it? This is the first time you mentioned it to me.
Oh, is it? Have you played any of the other Far Cry games?
Very briefly.
Which ones?
New Dawn and 5?
Play 3, then play this one.
Okay. Is
Uh,
it good?
yes, it is Game of the Year material.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
but
that's where we'll leave that.
that's where we'll leave that because we are not a game podcast. Maybe we should have made a game podcast.
Maybe we should have made a Spider-Man podcast.
Maybe we should have made a Mario podcast.
But Chris Pratt, he's so cool.
It's a me Mario.
Yeah. So we have one last segment for today.
Yep.
Last week I recommended a little movie for Lib to watch. One of my favorite movies of all time. My favorite movie of all time for a long time. Her, starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, this is a 2013 movie directed by Spike Jonze. And
The simplest explanation I can give for the story is a man falls in love with Siri.
yeah, a man falls in love with an operating system. It's amazing.
Yep.
Like
It takes place in a like futuristic society where everything is basically technology. Like everything is technological.
yeah,
They consume the world with the robots,
the robots
and
took over.
and this man is unhappy with his life and his ex girlfriend, and then he's like, I'm gonna download Windows 11 real quick, and I'm
Fall
gonna
in
give
love
her a
with it,
female voice. I'm gonna fall in love with it.
and then I'm gonna have sex with it.
That
Yeah,
is a thing that happens.
this movie is weird. This is a weird movie. Um, and I love it.
Yep.
I
I was
can't.
weird recommending it because I love this movie, but I very much understand that it's a weird flick.
And I'm gonna be honest, like it's like if you're of the older generation, like if you're like 40 or up, watching this
If you did,
movie might be like it might be too much. You might not even be able to watch it. It's gonna be too cringy because like this guy's falling in love with a computer. What is
if
this?
you didn't, if you didn't grow up in the age of computers, this is gonna be a very weird watch for
Yeah.
you. And I
Um.
think if you're younger, it still might be a weird watch for you. It's not an easy watch. It's a very complicated movie.
You have to be in the right
Um,
mood to watch it.
yeah,
Um.
but it's good.
It is really good. It is so good that we're gonna give it its own episode in the
Yep.
future. So that's why we're being really brief right now for this segment because I have a lot to say about her, and I'm sure Pat has even more to say.
Yeah, I have a ton of things to say. Like I said earlier, until like 2018. So for like a good 4 or 5 years, this was my favorite movie of all time. Um, I love it. It's fantastic. I bought it on home release as soon as I could. It's a great time.
It's amazing, and I'm so happy Pat recommended it to me. Pat, all you've been recommending it to me is Oops All Bangers right now, so
Which means next week I'm recommending you some hot dog shit.
so we're gonna move on because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to like say anything that I want to say for the her episode, which is coming probably soon because I want to talk about it a lot. So Pat, I've been recommending you some like the two movies I recommended. Well, I only recommended one, didn't I? It was 1917.
So far, just
Yeah,
1917, which I liked. Was good.
yeah, it was really good. And all the movies that we've really reviewed, except for like
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, have been hard watches. You know, like you have to be in the right mood, and you have to really pay attention to the movie to get it. We don't do a lot of easy watches, don't we, Pat?
We do not.
So I pulled from your backlog, and I found a movie that I am astonished that you haven't seen yet. It is probably
Interesting.
the easiest watch that I've ever seen. And it is, in my opinion, probably the funniest movie ever made.
Okay, that's okay. Interesting.
Pat, you want to explain to me how you've never seen Airplane?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I haven't seen Airplane.
You want to tell me why?
I've seen Airplane in clips. I've seen it in memes, but I never actually sat down to watch the whole movie. I don't have a reason why. And it's not something I'm particularly proud of.
It is only 80 minutes.
Because it's a movie I even make references to, and I haven't seen it. So like that's how like popular it is, and that's how well known and funny it is. And I just never sat down and watched it. So
So
yeah,
yeah, you're watching Airplane, buddy.
yep. And that's not the only thing I'll be watching this week, because we have a movie to announce that we'll be doing next week.
Yeah. You'll find out what movie we're doing next week real soon. Because this
Yep.
episode is gonna come out in a weird day. It's probably coming out on a Wednesday or a Thursday or whatever it ends up being. Sorry this episode came super late.
Yeah. Unfortunately, real life got in the way.
Yeah. It sucks, but you know, more time to burn on the review that we had today. Maybe you got a better review out of it. I don't know.
More time to watch movies.
Yeah, more time to watch movies. More time for you guys to watch movies. And the movies you watched, you can recommend them to us if you click on our link tree. That's in any of the socials that we have. Or if you go on the YouTube channel, Fresh Off the Reel, and check the description, you'll find the link tree. And at the very top, you can fill out a form to recommend us a movie or TV show that maybe we haven't seen. There's a lot of movies we haven't seen. You know?
There are.
There are many.
We even have public lists.
Yeah, on our Letterboxd accounts, which you can also find on the link tree. So next episode, we're gonna talk about in the backlog segment. Pat's gonna talk about Airplane, and then he's gonna recommend me apparently a dog shit garbage movie.
I haven't decided what it is yet, but Oops All Bangers has to stop. So I gotta recommend you some dog shit.
Airplane is the last Oops All Bangers.
Maybe the following time it's my turn, I'll recommend you a banger again. But next time, we're heading to Stinky Town.
Oh boy, I can't wait for that, and I hope you guys can't wait for that either because this episode's coming to a close now. Thank you everybody for listening.
Have
Um,
yourselves a good one.
have yourselves a good one. Make sure to check out everything that I mentioned before, and we will see you all in a theater near you. Good night.
Good night.